Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whenever you may be. This is the overnight. I am Dean Foss, and joining me tonight are Shafty. How's it going, Shafty? Hey, that's great. How about you, Baron?
I'm doing good.
Oh no, it was muted that whole time. Dang. Let me restart. Can I get a go again?
How's it going, Shafty?
Hello, I'm Shafty. I'm here.
How you doing, Baron?
It's the same. I'm doing the same.
That's great. Yeah, feeling like I forgot something. I don't know, but
Was it to prepare for the show? Because I didn't.
yeah, that's normal though. So thank you for everybody that's out there. Let's see who's out there real quick. X Adam One was out there. And DJ Play Nice. Sergeant Joe Smith. Wesley Foster. 2 Live Moo. The Gun Snob. We have a celebrity. And Gunmetal Guy USA. PNW Woods. I've sent you a link, Woods, if you want to come in. Tonight's topic was self-defense with children. I wasn't sure how to title it to make it not sound like you're defending yourself with children. It's when you have children with you, at least for me, when I have my daughter with me, she's 2. I have to think about self-defense a little bit differently because I have to account for a 2-year-old. If it's just me, then I'll handle the situation a little differently than when she is with me. I don't know. Is that the same for you, Shafty?
I don't know. Honestly, when you carry with kids, it's always kind of a pain. There's 100 small things I do differently. I don't know if there's any one big thing that I do differently, but there's a bunch of little stuff. I don't know. We can get into that, but macro level.
It was kind of, in light of some of the current events that have gone on.
Yeah.
Got me thinking about it again, which I do think about it when I'm actually out and around with my daughter. In the thumbnail, I used to use the Baby Bjorn thing where, the baby strapped to your chest. So the first time I went out with her, I realized if something happens, I have a baby strapped to my chest. What do I, had to start figuring out what do I do? And I figured, I can cover her with one arm and turn to shield her, and then draw if I have to draw, or, I've got one free hand. And I don't know, I kind of figured the more I thought about it, on front is maybe better. Is on back, if your baby's on your back with one of the back carriers, I can't see her. If I move, it exposes her. So I don't know.
God forbid you get shot and fall on your back.
I poked around a little bit on like YouTube, and there's nothing that addresses any of this. If all you find are videos on teaching kids self-defense, not what to do when you have a kid with you. So, for me, this is something that comes up, and for a lot of people with kids, or even like with when I was talking with Baron before, he would walk his niece or nephew to school.
As far as I know.
So there's considerations there too. My son is older now, so if I tell him do this, do that, maybe he'll listen. He's a teenager, but with a toddler, you have to move them where you need to move them. X Adam 1 is saying, oops, I wanted that one. Mace is a good idea if you're with kids.
The thing about mace is when you use mace, everybody gets it in their eyes, including the kids.
Yeah, I don't carry mace. I've thought about it before. I want my hands free. I don't want stuff in my hands. I feel more comfortable going hands on than macing, which probably isn't smart, but that's more comfortable. And like at work, the owner has, told me that he would give me mace if I wanted to carry mace, but I told him it's just going to stink up the joint. So I would rather not.
Yeah. I guess one thing I can say is like when we go to the store, our kids always go in the cart. Usually my wife is with the cart, so I can kind of stand back and out of the way a little bit. Like knowing your target and what's beyond it's always important, but especially like when your kids are around, and maybe not so much outside because it's easier to get distance, but like in your house, if you have to, God forbid, use your firearm in your house, you better know exactly where your kids' bedrooms are, exactly where they're sleeping, exactly how you're oriented, I'm just trying to keep myself out of positions where they're going to be in the way in situations like that. And a big part of that is recognizing people who could be sketchy or looking for threats ahead of time, so you can walk out in front or off to the side, away from them as far as you can, while still being close enough to grab them and run if you have to.
Inside the house, the line of fire, like you were talking, that was something that really concerned me that I had to think about, because if I'm in bed and there was a threat at the bedroom doorway, it's straight in line with my son's room and his bed, through the doorway.
Yeah, and that's a big problem that you have to think about beforehand so that you're prepared if that ever happens.
Gun-toting Pacifist is out there. I'm going to send you a link, Pacifist, if you want to jump in, talk about this, because I know you have children also.
Do you have a plan of attack for that? Have you sat down and maybe thought about that? Maybe switching bedrooms, or I don't know what you can do in your house, but we try and not put the kids in bedrooms between our bedroom and the door. Like in our house, our bedroom's the closest one to the staircase, and my daughter's is the furthest one away. And she's on an opposite side of the house from where the staircase is. So basically anything outside of my door towards the stairs is fair game.
Yeah, I have not figured out that solution. I'll say that. There is
do the FUD solution, rock salt in your shotgun, right?
Works on demons too.
Yep.
Yeah, you should have been on Wednesday. We were talking about stuff like that.
Oh yeah. There's no way in hell I will ever make it to a Wednesday night chat. I can barely make it to these.
There we go.
I take that back. Last week I was awake for about 3 minutes of yours before I fell asleep.
Yeah, it's there's no real switching rooms just because of the size difference in the rooms. The
Gotcha.
master bedroom is twice the size of all the other bedrooms.
Yeah. Do you have a basement?
No.
No.
Put the kids in the basement.
Well, if he's a teenager, he'd be down for that. At least I would have been when I was his age. Hey, it's your own suite. You just got to come upstairs to use the bathroom.
And we live in a pretty safe small town.
Yeah.
But there's mostly, around here it's basically property crimes.
Yeah.
But you don't know. And I wish I could remember who the quote came from and what the quote exactly was. I think it was Jeff Cooper. But there we go. Who I'm going to attribute to him, who said that the victim does not choose the time and place of the crime. Basically,
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
So you don't know. You get that one oddball guy that comes to your door for no reason. That's it's something for like my wife, which it's kind of hard for her to get her to understand that because she feels safe. But even like with her car, she used to keep empty bags on her seats and stuff, and I told her not to do that. And her car got broken into, and they took her empty bags. It's like I told you,
Yeah. You got to keep in mind her culture growing up is completely different from ours, though. Like in Japan, they don't really have street crime like we do here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was something that it took us a little while after getting married to kind of iron out.
Yeah.
But let me say hello to Pacifist. How you doing?
Hello. Thanks for the invite, bro.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, you can jump in anywhere as we're talking. Like I said, we in light of recent happenings, and then I have when I go out with my daughter who's 2, I think about even when I put her in the car seat, I can't see behind me because you cannot look backwards and buckle a car seat. So, I'll buckle a little, kind of glance back, buckle a little, glance back. And it's worse when yesterday when I was putting her in, she looks up over my shoulder. It's like, there's nothing there. Probably a bird flying by or something, but she keeps kind of looking at something. So you think, is somebody behind me?
Yeah, I hate that. And I've got 2 kids who are in car seats right now. So I have to put the baby in, put her in her car seat, run around the car real quick, put the 4-year-old in her car seat, run back to the baby, strap the baby in, run back to the other one, strap her in, close the doors, and then take off. I hate that, strapping them in like that.
When I had kids, that's probably the main reason why I moved to New Hampshire from Massachusetts, is because Massachusetts wouldn't allow me to carry my gun. They would allow me to purchase and own a gun, but the city I was living in wouldn't allow me to carry my gun. So once we had kids, say, I would go to Target or whatever, for whatever reason, and this one day there was some crazy dude just yelling at people and whatever. And I'm like, I'm totally vulnerable if this guy comes at me. Like myself, I'm not vulnerable. I can, hold my own against this guy, hopefully. But then I'd leave my kids unattended. And I felt completely vulnerable. And I said to the wife, I'm like, we need to leave. We need to leave. We need to move to New Hampshire like now. And she totally agreed, thank God, because we were looking for property at that time, and real estate in Massachusetts just skyrocketed. And so we were able to get a piece of property up here for a fraction of the price and twice the land and whatnot. So, and then I could carry every day.
And even then, there's such an unknown variable. Like, you never know what a 2-year-old or 5-year-old is going to do, despite how many times you talk about it.
Yeah.
You got to watch them and watch everything else and keep good muzzle discipline and know what's a threat, what's not a threat, when to draw, when not to draw. You could get accosted and have to go hands-on and not be justified in using a gun per se, but still try and push a guy off of you and wrangle your kids. It's a nightmare.
When my daughter was with me, it changes where I would draw that gun.
Yeah,
because
me too.
she
I
is
was
with
going to
me.
say that too. Yeah, it changes your force continuum.
If I'm on my own, like I was kind of saying, I'm comfortable, hands on. I can, whatever. If they don't have a weapon, visible weapon, you deal with whatever. But when I'm holding my kid, it becomes a threat to her, and if it's if he's unarmed, he's still a threat.
Yeah.
So I will draw if I'm holding my daughter to stop a threat.
Yeah,
If
the scenario completely changes from because I'm divorced now with split custody. So when I don't have my kids, like this weekend, and it's just me, the scenario it's completely different from when I have my kids. If I have my kids and somebody poses any significant threat whatsoever, I'm drawing on them. And if they continue, then they're dead. But if it's just me, I might go hands on before I draw.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I can't help but think about states that don't have laws that are as forgiving as some of the states that we live in. 'Cause I wouldn't want to be arrested for 10 years either. Not see my kids for 10 years, but yeah, I think that's a valid point.
Um,
I will say one of the biggest things we do is we don't ever go anywhere with the girls without both of us. I mean, rarely, but not often. That way there's always, if I have to deal with somebody or I have to deal with a couple people, my wife can take the kids and scoot, and then we can just link up afterwards.
that's something that my wife will take my daughter out, to the store. Like, they went to the store today, and I do worry about it. And it's, like I said, we're in a fairly safe community, so I know 99% chance nothing will happen, but there's that 1% that, that lays on my mind when
Yeah.
they go out.
Yeah, my wife used to a lot more too. But just recently I went on a fishing trip and I was gone overnight, and my wife took the kids to the local Walmart to get some stuff. And first time she had gone in probably 2 years without me with her, and she got followed aisle by aisle from the moment she walked in the store to the moment she walked out of the store, to the point where she had to go up to customer service and ask for somebody to walk her out to her car. And we both agreed that we're not going to do that anymore. I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, it seems like if I take them to the store, it's never a problem. But especially if it's like a single woman with kids, I guess I never realized how many creeps are actually out there. But I mean, people do get followed and people do get cased.
If your city or county has the sex offender registry
Yep.
that you can look up, and the map, it's scary how many out there are. And that's sex offenders. But
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
when my wife was pregnant, I went everywhere she went. She didn't
Yeah.
understand why I would say I'm coming with you, and I didn't explain it to her. I just went with her.
Well, it's paranoid until it's not.
Well,
Is the
it's
typical point of view that I've experienced.
the line from Curse of the Jade Scorpion, the Woody Allen movie. It's probably
Yeah.
my favorite line out of any movie. Is someone tells him there's a name for people who think everyone's out to get them, and he says, yes, perceptive.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to even talk about. It's a hard thing to even think about. Yeah.
Well,
Worse-
are there places that you don't go now when your kids are with you? I mean, other than like the bar, which
Oh, absolutely.
my dad used to take me with him to the bar.
I
I was like 5.
wow.
You go to
Well,
the
it was a
bar,
different
pussy.
time then.
I would sit on the pool table while he drank.
Yeah, this is gonna sound kind of bad, but like especially with the economy the last 2 years, we've had, and I live in a relatively safe suburb as well, but we've had a huge uptick in like homeless people in the nearby city. And this is gonna sound horrible, but like I don't take my kids to any gas station where I know that homeless people litter, even though I'll stop there in the morning for before work. I don't take them downtown because they have big encampments down there and they're doing drugs constantly, just out walking in the open, geeking out. And there's a bunch of places I don't take my kids that I go.
I can't say that I've changed because there were anywhere that I wouldn't go with my kids. Basically, places that I just didn't go anyways. Kind of like you, if I gas up, it'll be on the way home from work. So it's, 6:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I've had, the guys walk up and ask you for money or say, "Oh, I'm out of gas. I got a gas can," but it's bullshit.
It's like a 1-gallon can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually just say, not for you, buddy. Because it's the same guy every day. And he's, scratching his face and you can tell he's messed up on something. Yeah, they find spots and they case them real hard. But yeah, there's a bunch of spots I won't take them. If it's just me, I'm not usually very concerned. I'm a pretty big guy, and I've always got my gun on me. But my biggest thing with the kids is if I'm vigilant to avoid confrontations and avoid altercations, I'm 4 times more vigilant about doing that when I have the kids with me, just because that's the easiest solution. But sometimes you don't have that choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I don't go anywhere I would take my kid is somewhere I would go, normally go. I just don't want to deal with the situations that might arise and play. It's like I think Yankee said, "Don't go anywhere armed that you wouldn't go unarmed," which is kind of what I do.
Yeah. That's a viewpoint for sure.
Do you carry differently when you have your kid with you?
No, but how I handle my kids is different. Like, I carry appendix most of the time inside the waistband. So like, when I've got that gun there, I can't really carry the baby, I mean,
Yeah.
I can, but I'm going to cut the crap out of myself. Or I might lean down to pick them up differently because I don't want to flag anybody, or there's a lot of different, like when we go to the restaurant, I'm really particular about where I sit in the booth so that my gun is away from the, away from the aisle, but also not pointed at any kids, weird stuff like that. Like, again, 100 small different things I do. I couldn't name them all, but
When I'm
Yeah,
with my kids, I only carry double action, single action, because I carry striker fired when I don't have my kids in my pocket or appendix or like my Glock 43X inside the waistband, 3 o'clock to appendix depending on the scenario, and I carry my car P380 in my pocket. But when I have my kids, I don't like carrying a striker fired gun because the idea of a striker back on a live round just terrifies me because they come up and hug my leg and whatever because I still have young kids.
yeah, and exactly, and that's the kind of things you avoid. Like personally, I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and same thing.
So I carry double single action when I have my kids, and when I don't have my kids, like today, I carried my car P380 in my pocket.
I only carry hammer fired, but that's in general. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's what it's what I know. Appendix carry was something I was going to bring up too. When you're holding a baby and you've got your gun, somewhat centered. Since I don't ever appendix carry, I wasn't sure how much the baby interferes.
Well, actually, I started doing that because I used to carry at 3 o'clock, and I picked my kids up on my hip, and they would sit right on top of the gun. So I moved it to
yeah.
appendix.
My kids,
Yeah,
my kids
my-
ask me like when we come home, if I pick them up from their mother's house, and we stop at the mailbox at the top of the driveway with us, they'll say, "Dad, are you carrying a gun?" Because they know if I'm carrying a gun in my pocket, then they can't sit on my lap to steer the steering wheel down to the
Yeah.
garage. So my kids know that I carry.
Yeah, so do mine. Like, well, my 4-year-old does. And, like, she's not at the age where, like, teaching her gun handling is appropriate yet, I don't think. But she knows when she sees guns, she knows what they are, and she knows she needs to stay away from them. And if she finds one that I don't know about, to come tell me about
I don't
it.
hide my guns from my kids at all. I want them to be aware of what they are and what they're capable of.
Yeah, and she's at the age where she knows they're dangerous and she knows not to touch them. And she knows that when she's a little bit older, I'll teach her how to do it safely.
Right.
Yeah, but that's all you can really do with little kids as far as like gun safety goes when they're little. There's going to be somebody out there that's like my 3-year-old is shooting 22 competition, but your mileage may vary.
That kind of Woods had a comment, and I didn't mark it, so I got to go back up and find it. Yeah, I should have marked it. Yeah, when I carry my daughter, it's always on the left side. I pick her up to the left side just because I carry on the right side. And I am conscious of, sometimes I'll pocket carry and it's on the right side. But when she's running around, I have to make sure she's not climbing on that side.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah, I lost the comment.
And then when you're in public, sometimes your kid will like come up and bang their head off your gun and say, "Oh, sorry, I hit your gun," and everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah. I got to be really particular with my daughter not to say anything. Or like she'll want me to pick her up and put her in the grocery cart, and I can't do that because my shirt will come up and I'll flash my pistol to everybody. Different little things like that I try and be aware of.
What state are you in?
Indiana.
Woods was saying how young is too young to expect a kid to have access to a firearm. I had a 20 gauge in my closet from like 12 on. Not safe by today's standards, but we did loads of dangerous stuff in the 80s.
Yeah, I had access to guns my whole life.
I had my own shotgun in my room when I was 13, and then I got my first rifle when I was 16.
I used to take shots out of my bedroom window at birds and squirrels and whatnot since I can remember.
Like I started shooting with my dad when I was like 5 or 6, but I didn't have my own firearms until I was about 13.
I didn't grow up with guns. I didn't shoot a gun until I was in my 20s with going out with friends.
Wow. Yeah, we were cattle farmers, so it's a way of life when you do that kind of stuff.
I had BB guns.
Coyotes.
Had BB guns and pellet guns, but that's not, it's not the same.
I don't know. I've killed a lot of stuff with a Red Ryder.
Ex Adams, responding to Woods, said, when my daughter was 12 years old, I taught her where my 22 LR was and where to go if there was an emergency. She was to go into my room, lock the door, and unload if some stranger entered. My son, who is 16 now, he has not shot a gun because he doesn't want anything to do with them. I've talked to him about gun safety, but I don't want to force him, to shoot a gun if he doesn't want to shoot a gun.
Yeah. I'd probably do the same thing if that was the situation. You have to know how to be safe. I'd probably be a little bit more persistent in trying to get them to learn to at least be proficient shooting them, but everybody's an individual. Can't hold that against them.
My 7-year-old daughter is chomping at the bit to go shooting because she sees her aunts and uncles and everything come up here and go to the range with me, and she has to stay home. And so she has her own pink headgear with the inlay of little white kittens on them and some pink eye pro. But her mother is dead set against her going to the range with me. And so that's like a point of contention between us. And so I don't want to cross that line yet because it might lead to court and whatnot. But she's definitely mature enough where I would trust her with a 1022 or something like that. So that's the only thing that's really holding me back from taking her to the range is her mother.
Well, I mean, if you have joint custody and you go to a range, that's like a legal range.
Yeah, I know.
There's nothing
I know
she
I'm
can do
legally-
about that.
I know I'm legally in the right, but it's a point of contention which will lead to friction. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Baby mama
7-year-old,
drama. I
maybe I'll
gotcha.
wait till she's 10, you know?
So, Foss, I have an idea for you.
Yes.
I guess first off, hi G-Webs. Secondly, you could maybe see if he wants to go like paintballing. Teens like to do that, and it might be a good way to open the door.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's ever gone. I know he's done like laser tag.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
bet you
remember
would
if-
enjoy that.
I think so.
You could try reverse psychology on him. Like, you're not allowed to.
Yeah, then he'll want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that'll work, but yeah, and I looked at when he was younger. I looked into like kid safety classes, gun safety classes, and there aren't any around here. I don't know if anybody does any other than like the there is one, a guy out of Oregon that does like kid safe. G-Webs is
Derek LeBlanc or something like
and he'll travel around and do kid safety, and then they shoot like BB guns, and I can't remember if they shoot 22 also, but
that. No, I think they do BB guns mostly because he's always doing that inflatable thing.
yeah.
That can't stop at 22.
So has he ever gone shooting with you ever?
Nope.
What if you pulled the old man trick on him? Help! I'm too weak to shoot this gun. Can you help me? I need to see if it works. You're big and strong.
Does he go with you to the range?
No.
Oh,
Bummer.
so
How
you
old?
could like act like
How
a
old?
He's 16.
Yeah, that's the point of no return. If he's not interested now, he's probably not going to be interested ever.
Is
Well,
he
that's
driving?
not true. What did Foss just said? He was older when he got into it.
Yeah, well, I was interested
have-
in guns.
You have
Just
access to it before?
what was that?
Like you became interested as you were older, but did you have
Yeah.
access to it when you were younger?
No, I had books on military guns and stuff like that, but that that was basically the extent of it.
He
It's like I used to-
probably had some experience with 9mm, put him off guns. I've heard of this.
It was just one time in college.
One time at band camp.
Yeah. That reminds me, I used to have this old Arms and Armor book when I was a little kid. And I flipped through that thing until it fell apart.
Yeah, I
Does
wish
this
I.
kid play the video games.
What's that?
We're talking about this kid plays the video games?
Well, he plays like Minecraft, and one's kind of like that, and trivia games.
You could buy him a sword then. It's better than a sharp stick.
I would.
You know, fun thought exercise. Are swords cool?
Yes.
Are people who own swords cool?
That's debatable.
Yeah, yeah. That one always tripped me up.
So did you buy him his own gun, Foss?
No.
Maybe
No, gun thing. Could have just bought him his own gun already. Or
Well,
he should have like 4 by now.
If you buy him his own gun, maybe he'll, fondle it a little bit and be like, "Hey, I want to shoot this," and maybe become interested that way.
I think I
Well,
got an idea.
the other
Get him
the other
into bayonets.
the other part of this is my wife, where she does not want anything to do with guns. She
That was-
understands.
That's my ex-wife. Yeah.
When I bought my first gun, I explained to her why, and she understood why, and I showed it to her. It was HKP 30. Had her hold it. She looked at it, gave it back to me, and said, "I never want to see it again." So we don't talk about it. I carry, and that's it's my thing basically. And it's
My ex said
Um,
she held one of my guns and she's like, "I don't get it."
yeah, she because I wanted to show her that it has like an 11.5 pound double action trigger. So I bounced it on my finger and said, "This cannot go off accidentally." Had her hold it. She looked at it, said, "This looks like a toy." Gave it back, said, "I never want to see it again." So yeah, that's I would like her to be into it and do stuff with me, but it won't happen. And then that's part of with my son, where she doesn't want him to touch one. She understands the need for him understanding gun safety. When I was trying to find a class for him to take, because I was going to have her take one too, which she didn't really want to do, but she would have done if we would have done it. We ended up not doing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is she's Japanese, and they don't have guns. You can get rifles, but there's only maybe a couple shops where you can get a rifle, and it is very tough, and it is rare to hear about anything.
Yeah.
Japan is often brought up as they got rid of their guns and look how safe they are. Well, it's a lot different. It's I'm losing the word.
Culture.
Island.
Well, a lot of it's
Existence?
culture, where I don't want to get too far into this. We're going to get off track here about how their society is structured and stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't need bike locks.
The funny thing about that is that's a lot of that is because of American influence after World War II.
Well, it's all the non-gun stuff is. Well, we're gonna get too far into this.
Yeah, we can dial back if you want.
But wasn't
So
there a guy
just-
that stabbed to death like 19 people over there?
Well, there was a gas attack in my wife's home prefecture. They're basically her state. There was a cult from her state. You could see their cult mansion from her mom's house up in the
Wow.
hills, where they released. I can't remember which gas it was. In a subway, and killed a bunch of people back in the 90s.
Was that
I'm not
Taco
into
Bell?
the whole gassing people in a subway or whatever, but if anybody wants to hang out in a cult or whatever, we can get a mansion. That'd be pretty awesome. Bring a bunch of money. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Cult of the gun. But for Japanese, it is rare to hear. They do happen. One of the last times I was there was a place that got shot up, and my wife was shocked.
Well, there was that one guy that stabbed 19 people to death in Japan.
Well, I think a lot of it is like the way that people handle mental health in Japan is a lot differently they're a lot more likely to. It's horrible to say, but like when people are like failing or they're in a bad mental state, they're a lot more likely to just commit suicide than to carry out an attack or to try and resort to violence.
Well,
It's
it
sad.
is.
Their media isn't, well, not encouraging, but like in making people infamous every time they do
Yeah.
something, and they're not like seeking out that infamy.
My my father-in-law was a psychiatrist, which was something that's rare in Japan, because they, you know, it's not something that most of them are willing to do, because you're taught to keep in place, keep your head down, follow authority.
Yeah.
He was a great guy. He's passed on now, but it's you can't compare Japan and the U.S. It's it is basically there are foreigners in Japan, but they're kind of treated as foreigners, and
Yeah.
it's I still can't remember mono something.
How many? There's like a lot of people in the cities, right? Like there's a lot of population in
Yeah.
Japan, and there's no way that there's all that population and not atrocities happening every once in a while from things that just all the different things that could do it. It's just probably that they don't report on it because they're not fixated on it. Not only is the American, well, they claim that the tabloid mentality wants to hear about it, but the rest of the world that wants to see the United States fail, they probably love to see all the weird, extreme, outlying stuff that happens here, especially when it's considered the narrative of the norm. I mean, if the rest of the world hates us or a bunch of chunks of the world hate us, wouldn't they love to see these kind of rare instances be brought up as like the norm here?
Yeah.
I don't know about. Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I can tell you, if you go over there and you're a foreigner, you get treated very differently.
In a good
Like-
way?
No, like even if you like go to like a restaurant or something, even if you can order in Japanese, they won't even talk to you. The waitress won't even talk to you.
It's I was okay with that because I don't, I've forgotten most of the Japanese that I used to know.
Yeah,
And most of that was either swear words or, along that lines.
yeah,
But so I was fine with them talking to my wife and her translating. I did one time at the Tokyo Hard Rock Cafe. I ordered in Japanese, and the waitress looked at me, and she goes, "How do you want that cooked?" It was
yeah.
like, "Oh, okay,
Was
Yeah,
this
then
the
You
$30
look like a
burger?
try hard. Yeah.
yeah."
Where were you at? Axis over on the bay.
No, it was. I can't. I'm not sure exactly where the Hard Rock Cafe was in Tokyo.
Oh, you're at Hard Rock.
Yeah. But we're kind of drifting off topic here. Oh crap! I forgot
Show notes.
show notes. So let's take a quick break here. I didn't even get the banner going.
I even reminded you right before.
You did. I appreciate it. So there's an email down at the bottom for comments, suggestions, or Gorn. It's not really the Gorn show, but we're always happy to have submissions. If you watch this in replay, go ahead and leave a comment. I read all the comments that are left, and we can kind of keep the conversation going. There's a link to the Discord server in the description. It's a place to kind of hang out, share pictures, memes, chit chat, kind of like a updated forum is basically what a Discord is. And if you don't mind, hit that like, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe. That'd be nice. Yeah, I think that covers most of it.
You know what I should do? I should
What's
make a
that?
bot that sends you a message 5 minutes after we go live that tells you to do the show notes.
That's still no guarantee.
It's like me
Try
being on the
calling
show.
Try telling him not to do the show notes, and then maybe he'll just do it at his site.
Ooh.
Anything else about carrying, self-defense with kids? And still, could not come up with a good title for this, how to describe it without being, a paragraph.
So I guess the summary for me is carrying is a pain in the ass, and it's even more of a pain in the ass when you have kids. And you just have to deal with that.
Do you? Well, I had asked if you carry differently. Do you?
I do.
Because I'm a minimalist when I carry, and normally I just carry my gun, and I don't carry extra magazines. And do you carry more or less stuff when your kids are with you?
No, not really. I mean, I always have like my Kershaw and I have my pistol. And if I'm carrying my single stack, I usually carry a spare magazine. And that's just more if like I get like a nasty malfunction. I can just get rid of it because it's only like 8 rounds anyways. But no, not really. Just how I carry and some of my practices while I'm out and about are the only things that really change.
What about you, Pacifist?
No, I wouldn't say I carry any. I definitely carry differently, but I wouldn't carry anything less. So how do I add you on Discourse? Discord. Voss.
Just click on the link and then, I don't know. Baron?
Yeah, join the server, and we're all in there.
So I'm on Discord now. Do I go to the search?
No, that
No, you
won't
just-
work.
Click the link under the YouTube.
Can you drop it in the side chat, Baron?
Yeah, I can.
It should
So-
take you right to it.
Yeah, well, Baron will drop a link in the side chat here, and that'll take you right to the Discord.
There's a phone app as well.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I have it on my
There you
phone.
go.
I've had it for a while. I'm just trying to figure out how to add.
I'll
on-
drop
on
it in
the phone.
the YouTube chat too for people.
It seems to be counterintuitive.
Yeah, well, that's Discord's designed that way. You don't really go to Discord and navigate to something. You have to be invited into. So it's kind of
Yeah.
designed to just exist, and then you have to kind of know the knock. You get invited into the room directly.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about it is it's like Facebook, except you pick everybody that's there.
You can find servers by searching, but we're so small, I doubt you'd find us.
Oh, is it on like Disboards?
Yeah, you can add a server that way.
Oh, nice. I think I don't know how that works. I know mine doesn't work that way.
You have to be a
Yeah,
certain size before they start
Yeah,
promoting you.
yeah.
500 users.
Which we've grown quite a bit from like what 15 to like 50 now or 40, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Really? I didn't realize that.
yeah, it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah, I didn't realize until I was setting up the show, but we're at like a year and a half of doing this.
We've had
Already,
80
nice.
people through the server.
80 people. Wow. You have your own cult.
Yeah.
Now we just need to buy the mansion.
I don't know about that.
Let's see, like $5 million split.
If
split
80
ways.
people all put in their life savings, you could buy a mansion for that.
Let me do some math real quick.
If they all gave us $10 a month, Foss could get a new gun every month.
No, life savings. Cults are all in.
Yeah, it's all or nothing.
Yeah,
you,
so
get, you get their life savings and their wives.
if everybody paid $60,000, we could have a $5 million mansion.
Well, that's not very many. But if they all brought another 5 or 10 people with their life savings,
Yeah,
because you want to have some, you want a boat or whatever and some land.
There you go. $10 is life savings.
yeah. So if we increase it by 10 times the amount of people, that's only $6,000 a person.
So Wesley Foster is asking an interesting question. Do you have bulletproof vests for your kids? How do you think people will react to restrictions on bulletproof vests for kids? Which kind of brings up also like the backpacks, the bulletproof backpacks. Is that something
Yeah.
that you guys have considered?
I've thought about it.
Yeah, I would like to at least get if not the whole backpack, they sell just a Kevlar panel that you can stick in a backpack. It's just a black panel. Right now they don't. I've got armor for me, but if anything ever got bad enough that I had to wear it, the plan is only I'm going out. So
So is anybody old enough to have gotten in the hallway for atom bomb attacks or whatever?
Yeah.
Our parents' generation definitely did that, and you know what I mean. Like then there's the other institutionalized situations at schools. I just don't. I'm saying, what's the long-term implications of having kids walking around with soft body armor because they're so scared of something that might happen? I don't know. It's happened 6 times in the history of the United States.
And to be honest, soft body armor is not going to help you with a
Well, I didn't want to
AR-15.
get into that, but you're gonna die anyway. I mean, it barely works on adults with adult bones and guts and fat and
Yeah.
everything else. The physics just don't work. It's a thing that you're doing in case if. And again, I just don't see the long term benefit of having little kids exposed to all of that stress and situation. They're going to grow up having just a different view of everybody. You know, we had to worry about stranger danger. Like if somebody comes up and says, get in the car. And are we afraid of people? I'm afraid, but are we skeptical of anybody that comes up in a car? You know what I mean? And that was pale in comparison to this. So the way people are reacting to an instance of one individual I said this in Santee's chat earlier. I mean, I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent. I shouldn't be, but the person planned it. They didn't do it in the heat of passion with what was available at the moment. They planned what they were going to do, with what, when, and where. All of those were politically motivated because they knew the result. They didn't accidentally do anything there. So jump in to react after somebody who calculated a thing like that, the worst case scenario is that's what they calculated. They wanted people to overreact and then so hardening schools and making it so we have one point of access, that sounds real cool for adults who dig tactics and stuff, but little kids who are like, I don't know, remember the stuff you deal with when you're a little kid? Like, I got to leave my puppy and go to school. I don't want to do that. And now you got to go through prison. We talk about these kids being messed up because of the institutionalized nature of school as it is, and the systematic issues that result from the institutionalized the way it is now. I like the idea when we had this like trend towards homeschooling and in smaller schools and whatever that's called, where you have options for schools. How about just get them out of these institutional free zones or whatever, instead of saying, let's turn them into little weird prison situations where the kids have to look out a portal because they don't want to get, I'm sorry, but it just seems like we're not looking
No,
at
but that would be a great show topic. To
yeah,
dig into that, I probably won't do it just because I don't. You really need to get into the psychology of what's going on, which I don't have the depth to even start to understand. But
yeah.
I think that is something that would make a great chat.
And Foss, if you want, my daughter is actually about 12 months from kindergarten, and those are very real conversations that we are having. So I'd love to chime in on that when you do that chat. And then back to G-Webs' opinions on the school. Like that's a very valid political point, I think. But coming from the perspective of a parent with kids, like the soft Kevlar plates for the backpack, it's $50-$60. You can put it in there. They might not even know it's there, and it might do something. That's a worthwhile investment to me. And then to the point on the kids being skeptical of everybody and everything and not being kids. I mean, to a point, you got to kind of let them be children and let them do their thing. But I mean, those are lessons you learn as an adult. And if I raise my kids to be skeptical of people and realize that the world isn't all sunshine and roses, I'll feel like I've done a good job.
What about metal armor?
I have it. Not good for kids.
Well, up an AR-15.
You cut out. Can you say it again?
It'll stop an AR-15 though.
Yeah, but like a 7-year-old's not gonna be able to put on like a 25-pound plate carrier probably.
Well, no, not a plate carrier, but inside the backpack.
Oh
Just
no,
one
that'd be
plate.
way too heavy and obvious. And like most schools have metal detectors now. And that's
Oh, they
not
do?
that's not a call. I'd like this high school I went to is 2A, which means it's basically like one of the smallest ones out there, and they have metal detectors. That's not a call I'd want to get from the school.
Yeah, I don't know if the schools around here have those.
But we also, the principal of our school is a very pro Second Amendment guy. So, like, we have teachers that carry, and he takes the school shooting very, very seriously.
I guess you could go ceramic.
You could do that. But then it's a kid, and how often are they going to drop their backpack on the hallway floor before they put it in their locker, and that'll break a ceramic plate.
Kids breaking everything.
Yeah, that's what they do, man.
Money doesn't grow on trees here.
X Adam 1 saying I tell my kids practical things, like if there was a shooter in school, to disobey their plan and take off from campus and go home.
It's probably the safest thing. It's probably what I would tell my kids, too. Just run.
Woods is saying he sat through 4 or 5 of the run, fight, hide. I'm guessing he's meaning there.
Yeah. I work for a very, very, very large corporation, and we have to do those like twice a year. They're asinine. I've got a different plan.
I just had to sit through a safety video for insurance purposes at work that was kind of covered that, or robbery and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not fun. Like stupid corporate stuff. But then in some states you might not have your gun at work because you can't bring it to work, And like in Indiana you can because it's protected by law, but like in Michigan, your employer can bar you from having a gun on their property. And in that case, you can either break the law and hope you don't get fired or not carry. And there's a lot of people who don't carry because of it.
Yeah, we don't. We have a corporate policy against carrying.
Yeah, so do we, but Indiana has a law that supersedes it.
What?
Which,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, but that's just us. That could not be other states. But that might be
Yeah.
something to lobby for.
It doesn't carry the weight of law, but it's you can be terminated for it.
Yeah, and basically what our law does is if you get terminated because of that, it enables you to sue. You can either sue for your job or sue for damages.
X Adam saying when it comes to self-defense for kids to be brave, not stupid, I can fight and have no problems with it, but some things aren't worth the hassle, especially when you have kids around. That was another thing that I wanted to touch on. If you're out and about at the mall or whatever and something happens, I am not a sheepdog. If I'm with my wife and kids, my job is to get them to safety. And this is going to sound mean, but it's not to protect everybody else in the mall. If to protect my wife and kids means protecting everybody in the mall, then that's different. But if I can get them out where I'm getting them out.
That's exactly where your priority should be.
I mean, there's been plenty of information about protecting yourself, and if people don't heed that warning and take care of themselves, then what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to take on the weight of everybody on your shoulders?
Well, I think the people that do that have a hero mentality that comes from not having really anything real to lose. You know, when you have kids, it's a whole different ball game. When you have a wife, it's a whole different ball game. If you're a single guy, you'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll run in and stop the mall shooter, but there are
One
more
thing I
important
do-
things to
One
people
thing I
who
do
have.
tell my, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
One thing I do tell my kids is when I tell you to cover your ears, cover your ears.
I don't know if we're talking about a specific thing or just in general, but there's an awful lot of people that have done an awful lot of things, and it's not some kind of what you call it, it's not some kind of like I'm going to be a hero. It's just something like, oh, let me roll up my sleeves and do this. I've done it every evening for 4 years. Let me just do it one real quick right here. Some people, that's just their job. That's like, oh, I see a leak and I'm a plumber. I'm going to fix the leak. So I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah, I
know,
don't want to discredit the good
Yeah,
things that have been done either. I
but some
don't want to come
people can
across
just
as doing that.
dispatch things that need to be dispatched. And like we saw in Texas, that's a BORTAC guy, a Border Patrol SWAT guy. He didn't really think twice. He just did what he does every day at work.
Yeah, I don't want to discredit
You think of
people
like
that do that stuff.
a prison guard or somebody, somebody who's used to laying hands on people that are large and lift weights all day, something like that. Or just think of like a cowboy, somebody that's lifting up 300-pound cows all day, and they're just like, oh, let me just take care of this real quick. Sometimes I don't think it's like, oh, I'm going to be a hero and save the day, as much as like, let me just, I can do this. Let me just take care of this real quick. I'm not going to not take care of this real quick.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't want to discredit that. And like certainly, like if we were at a mall and something like that was happening, if there was a pot shot to be taken, I'd probably take it too. But
Exactly, it's just
My-
all about opportunity, right? And like, if you can get the
Yeah.
jump on somebody, then you're going to do it.
unfortunately, though, to
From
me,
the second floor onto them, I mean, anybody could do that.
yeah. But to me, the lives of my kids are more important than anybody else.
Yeah, if I'm with my kids and there's an exit behind me, see you later. If I'm by myself, then that's another story.
Yeah, or if it's like a child being targeted, there'd probably be different things that I would do, but that's a hard question to ask yourself.
Because if I have to engage somebody, then I have to take my focus off my children, and that's not going to happen. Unless it's a life and death situation with me and my kids.
So I would say more realistically, like a car could crash into a place, or an electrical fire could happen, or like some kind of a chemical spill, or like a gasoline pipeline leak, or something that actually happens more often. Electric line goes down or something, and all of a sudden the lights go out in a mall.
Yeah.
So like when I don't go to big places. I mean, I guess I go to Walmart's or something, but I don't go to too many places like that. But when I go to SHOT Show, I always carry around like this bag, and I've got like things like a headlamp and some stuff. So, no, most people aren't going to have all that all the time. But the same way as you might have like a fire plan for the house. Like if it's the middle of the night, you smell smoke, where do you go, right? Do you have something with the kids where it's like, hey, if we're walking, all of a sudden lights go out in a store, do we have a way that we can whistle to each other and figure out where we're at? Or do they carry like flashlights, like the more realistic stuff than because then when you get the more realistic stuff to where they're like, oh, I know what to do if I get locked in the bathroom at a store, or if like something happens and, we get separated, I know these things to do. So now when it's a crazy what I call a lightning strike type of event that, they're trying to get everybody upset about by focusing on constantly, when those happen, it's just another emergency. And now they're not freaked out because of 6 different things. They're just thinking, oh, this is an emergency. I know what to do for the emergency part. Maybe it's a little bit more stressful than a regular, what I mean? Is that a way to get kids
I think that's a good idea.
comfortable?
Yeah. And that's never a bad idea. And back to your car crash thing, if there's a car crash, I'd certainly go help, but I would make sure our car was parked 500 yards away first.
Oh,
You know?
oh. So let's say you're bad people, and let's say you want to do bad things. Do you go up and say, I'm a bad person with my bravado and I'm just going to start smacking people around? Or do you go, oh, I'm wounded, please help me? So be careful about what you're willing to jump into. And
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Make sure the kids are safe first.
Well, okay, but I'm saying you make sure your kids are safe. You go over to help somebody, and instead of whatever which you expected, it's like a bunch of kids that use that opportunity to smash through a wall and now be in a place, and now it's bang, bang, bang. You were over there to help, and you got hurt. I'm not saying that ever happens. I'm just using an exaggerated example of like you can't never know. Just because it looks like an opportunity to help someone who's really in need, it could just be a diversion / whatever, like I'm saying, this movie plot type of shit.
Okay, well, if we're going to go movie plot, then I would say that you keep to the code, and the code is more like guidelines. So,
But what about the idea of giving kids flashlights and whistles? So if they're in a place, lights go out, a series of toot, 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 or toot, toot, and then, like, what's that called when you use the whistles to find somebody in the dark?
So I like that idea, but I also know that there'll be a million Karens freaking out in the Walmart trying to get the flashlight from your kid. And now your kid is gone and the flashlight's gone. You know what I mean? Because there's some jackwagon out there that would, if you're in a Costco and the lights went out, be like, hey, give me that flashlight. And then the kid's gone. I guess the only thing you can really do is keep them within grabbing distance, or keep them controlled physically, like in a cart or holding their hand or something like that. But yeah, I think somebody would try and take it from them, and then you wouldn't be able to find them, especially if it was a crowded place like that.
And I think the best thing you can teach your kids is to trust their intuition. Like in this society that we live in, they try to beat your intuition out of you, and they try to get you to mold to society and follow the norms and this and that and blah, blah, blah. No, you need to ignore all that bullshit that you hear in your school and that your teacher's trying to push on you, and you trust your first instinct. That's your intuition. You need to hone it, and you need to trust it. And that's your first instinct, your first feeling, and you need to trust it. And once you learn to trust your intuition in situations that go bad, that is the feeling that's going to tug at you, and that's the one you need to trust.
Well, and there's a term for that. It's called paralysis by analysis, when you don't follow your gut, and so you don't know what to do, and you sit there and you think and you think and you think. And by the time that you act, it's too late.
Yeah.
You need to act on your first thought.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in the society that we live in, you have to train yourself to understand what your first thought is.
Well, that's exactly why we have these conversations, so you can plant that mental seed where if you're ever in that situation or you're in a similar situation, if nothing else, you can fall back to conversations you've had or thoughts that you've had previously, that you might forget until that moment. That's, hey, I have a plan for this, just like prepping, This, if X happens, then Y. If Y happens, then Z. Yeah, and what X Adam 1 is saying is everything is a calculated risk.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. And then his ghetto people comments. A person's smart, people are stupid, and people do crazy things when they're all spun up. And I don't know how I feel about the whistle. Well, maybe outside that would be a good idea because it'd be an attention grabber. But in a store, I don't even know if you'd hear it with all the screaming and whatnot.
Yeah, possibly. It depends on what time you're in a store, I suppose. That's true. I usually go into the store when it's halfway empty, so it would be a lot different when it was kind of packed.
There is a new school thing, though, that has come out recently that are kind of getting mixed reviews, but I kind of want to try and play around with. They're called AirTags. It's basically like a Wi-Fi beacon that you sync to your phone, and you can clip it to like your kid's backpack or put it in their pocket, and it's real-time GPS on where your kid is at on your phone, like down to the foot.
As long as it wasn't like some kind of a situation where they turned off that system or turned off the phones or the phones were busy, then
Yeah.
But if it was just a local thing, like I was saying, like a car crashes into the corner of a building and everything
Or your
goes,
kid gets lost at the park, even. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. As long as they're not turning off the phones, and that's
Yeah.
those things are supposedly pretty good.
Yeah. Well, the only problem with them is people are using them to tag people to kidnap, but like hiding
Well,
them on
here's-
cars and stuff. But yeah, I want to get a couple and just like
It'll-
put one in
your
my daughter's
phone-
backpack.
If you've got a phone and then you've got a tag near you, your
Yeah.
phone will tell you that there's a tag near you and that it's
Yes.
following you and it's close enough to you that somebody's messing with you. So
Depending
it-
what kind of phone you have. Apple will do that. Samsung
Yeah.
will not do that.
okay, so that's what I was going to say. I knew that it
Yeah.
would do it with that. So if you get an
Yeah.
Apple tag and stick it on somebody that doesn't have an Apple, it's kind of useless, or they're not protected from.
Well,
that.
you don't. It depends. Like if for us, like we have iPhones, and we would be syncing the AirTag to our iPhone and putting it on the child, so it's a closed loop.
And then the other thing is that you got that AirTag on whatever it is of value to you. It doesn't mean that somebody else can see that AirTag. It's not like, oh, here's an AirTag. It's just not mine.
I
Nope,
don't.
You're the only one that sees it.
I don't believe so, but Baron would probably know more about that than I would.
Was
So
not
if-
listening.
If you
at
have
all.
from what I understand, let's say that you're a girl and somebody puts one of them tags near you, your phone will tell you, hey, somebody put one of them tags near you. So that means it's listening to other tags that are near you. So if you had a tag on your kid and your kid was near somebody, would it say, hey, there's a tag near you? And now
It
they
might,
would put a tag on
might.
that kid. And now it's
but I don't think they would be able to access the beacon, though. You know, they
no,
could say,
but they would know that there's a tag on that kid.
yeah.
Like if they're like, I want a tag, I'm going to rip off one of these kids. Which one should I grab? Oh, this one has a tag. It must be worth more.
Algram is saying get the app tracker detect to do this on Android.
So you can detect the Apple tags with an Android with an app. That makes sense.
Oh, cool. But yeah, that's honestly for what you're talking about, G-Webs. That's kind of my plan is to get those AirTag beacons.
Oh,
Woods
look,
is saying they work great.
oh, they'll keep the tags, but whatever the whistle they're going to lose or the flashlight they're going to lose, why are they going to keep the one thing?
Because it's in their pocket or it's clipped to their backpack. They're not holding it in their hand.
The whistle and stuff. Well, I'm not saying you got to give a kid a whistle and he's got to hold on to it for the rest of his life.
No, it's the same idea, just in the 21st century. And
No, a whistle is allows a kid who may not even be able to yell because they're crushed under something to go really, really loud. A good whistle, yeah. I mean, discount it all you want, but a whistle is super, super, super useful. And when you add code to it, when you add 3 bursts is me, and if you don't hear 3 bursts, you don't respond. You know, when you've got some kind of code that your people know, super useful.
yeah,
But like I said, don't worry about it if you don't want to do it all nice, but it's only a whistle. Same thing with flashlights. You can flash a flashlight, blink, 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 blink. You don't just have to turn it on and walk around like a dingus. You can
yeah.
flash,
No, I was just thinking in
like,
this.
oh, that's my dad. Flash, 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 flash. That's my mom. Flash, flash. That's my sister.
Yeah, I was just thinking in the specific scenario that you first laid out in the store with the power out.
Yeah, I hear you. No, exactly.
Yeah,
But
that's
do
why I
it.
was hyper focused
Then
on
you
that.
play with your flashlights. When you go out and hiking, you play with your whistles and your flashlights. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
when it's campfire, you play with the flashlights, and now you got your own family code. And when you're camping, or I mean, when something does happen and it's crazy and it's a panic, oh, I got my family code right away. It's like, oh, I'm with my family. I got my family code. I know that we can talk to each other because we have our own code. So when you were saying make it analog, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it would work great for that. I was just hyper focused on that scenario you gave me.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
But that's the thing. It's just a matter of pre-planning, right? And giving your
Yeah.
kids something where they understand that you've thought it out ahead of it and that you've got that you were thinking of them ahead of time. They know that all they got to do is remember what they were told or, you know, give them that something to anchor on.
yeah.
They know they're not alone. Boom. You're done. You basically solved it.
And I don't know if I would bother telling a child the whole plan, just their part of the plan, so they don't forget about it. But I guess it depends how old the kid is. My kids are still young, so that's a perspective I have.
Yeah, with my 7-year-old, I could definitely trust her with more information as far as like what to do in certain type scenarios. You know, with the phone especially to, what numbers to dial and how to work the phone when you don't know the code. Although she knows the code to my phone, but under stress, she might not know it. So I teach her how to dial the emergency numbers.
Yeah.
But with my 4-year-old son, he's not going to retain that information. He's not going to know. So with him, it's a little more tricky.
One of the things a friend of mine did with her kids when they were young was to make sure they knew their streets so they could get home if they had to.
With my son, he can hold down the button and tell Siri to call mom or something like that. But with my daughter, she knows a little bit more.
I was just reading X Adam 1's comment about the whistle. That's funny. It's not tactical, but it's funny.
Oh, about yelling? That's not true,
Yeah.
though.
Meet back at the car.
Yeah, I'm just saying it was funny. If it's not Tommy, though, that's when you have problems, and I think that's what G-Webs was talking about with the whistle codes.
Whistle's a good whistle, like a real whistle, a rescue whistle, can go louder than anything.
That's funny. Like a lot of things that you buy for kids, like survival-wise and exploratory-wise, involves a whistle. They all have all the kits that I buy my kids have whistles in them.
Yeah, for lost kids.
Like like this insect gathering kit that we bought has like the jars and the nets and blah 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 and the binoculars and a whistle.
I might just have some whistle PTSD from high school sports. I just might have a subconscious aversion I don't know about.
Just make sure they're good whistles, because they're really shitty whistles.
Are really shitty.
Yeah, they barely make noise, no matter how hard you blow in them.
Yeah. This isn't the olden days, though. You can get, P-less, like, so no moving parts, just a one-part thing that's super strong and super loud. Super loud.
And you can get
An REI or whatever those stores are called. And look at their rescue.
like the metal ones that look kind of like the old dog whistles. They're
Like
really
Rose from
loud.
Titanic.
No,
Yeah,
they're got these ones from dollar stores, that are just a piece of aluminum with like a hole and like a very simple one piece. I guess the only thing that could happen is they could get clogged with snow, so you could hold on to them for a minute and it would melt out of there, but super loud, high pitched. Barely use any wind power or lung power to make them go really loud.
All I can think of is burpees.
Would you like to explain to the class what you mean by that?
Oh, no, I don't even want to think about those. It's been probably 10 years since I've done one.
Kind of a push-up and jumping jack mixed.
And it's like a squat, push-up, and jumping jack all in one motion. And that doesn't sound too bad, but go on your living room floor and do like 15 of them in about a minute and see how winded you are.
So down, straight back, and then up, right?
Like
It's
50
down, into the push-up, out of the push-up, into a jump, and then back down into a squat.
Yeah, no thanks.
Are you asking because you haven't done them before?
Oh, I don't know. I was just explaining what they were.
Or I thought you just were
I've done a shitload of them,
flashbacks or whatever.
more than I can count.
To answer M. Gabriel, that same style. Bosun whistle.
What I used to do is, because every drill was a certain amount of time, so I would count it in my head, and that would help you get through it. So you know that you're going to do a 60-second drill, right? And so you count down from 60, or you count up from 1 to 60.
I didn't
Yeah.
ever. Go
So
ahead,
you
sorry.
can plan your expenditure of energy throughout that 60-second drill, which
So
that was the most helpful for me to get through a drill.
before we get too off topic, one last note about that is my coach was an asshole, and if you thought that it was about over, we would keep going, and it would just break your spirit.
And we all do all that kind of stuff during PT, but it would be like 3-count burpees or 5-count burpees or like 7-count. Like there was all these different ones where you'd have like to be kind of holding in different places or doing extra push-ups or something. Like they burn you out. They kill you.
Oh yeah, they do.
Wear you out.
A burpee will make you puke faster than just about anything else.
The one thing I learned is if you could figure out how to, what am I trying to say? Try to figure out how to, like, the energy that you have and the amount of time that you have to, do that activity within. Learn how to, like, you have to kind of figure out what the time is and the energy that you have to expend and just kind of conserve
Like,
your energy.
to pace it. See, for us, most of the time, this was a long time ago, but I don't remember it ever being like 60 seconds. Like it was just until they got bored or until they decided.
Yeah.
And that was usually like when half of you were dead. So it was more like I was never the one that was like always in shape. So usually when I was collapsing is when it ended because I was in the middle, like a lot of people. So, you'd see the weakest one start to collapse and then you knew it was like, okay, it's almost over because it's never going to, like, that guy's never going to collapse. Like he's never collapsed before. He can keep going way beyond anybody, so you didn't use him to gauge, but if those 3 people collapsed, you knew it was coming pretty quick. Like the end was coming at some point.
I would always just try and find rhythm, in the
Did they make
In
you
the
chop
motion.
your feet in between them?
do what?
Like run in place in between them? Like when you're waiting for the whistle?
No, they were to
No.
kill us. Usually they were to wear you out at the end so that, just to make you die.
Yeah, they do that really good.
But they never cared. Like you would, if you were half-assing it or you were going through the motions, like everybody was sore in different ways. It was really just to make sure everybody was worn out, so it wasn't like they were paying that much attention to us. Well, at least from my flashbacks to remembering that stuff now, it wasn't like maybe at the beginning of a workout they'd care, if you were all doing it at the same time, but at the end it was like they were watching you all fall out. They didn't really care that, you were even doing it right. You were just having to keep moving until you fell down.
Until you broke. Yeah. So I guess to tie that back into self-defense.
You're trying to get better. So everybody was
Yeah.
trying to go as long as they could, and you were trying to go as long as those fuckers that never wore out, but anyway, so it wasn't like it was all that much of a mind screw at that time, but they were definitely like a lot. It just wears out your whole body, really. It's like the full body workout to kill everybody at the end.
Is that the
Cardio
point,
is
though,
important,
to break
folks.
you down to build you back up? That's the whole point. To a certain extent, right? Is to break you down to build you from scratch back up.
Everybody has to learn, that what their limits are, and then you have to keep doing that. You have to keep learning what your limits are, and as you do that for like 3 months or whatever many months, you come out of it like a freaking machine. You're way stronger than you were, and you're like, oh yeah, that works, okay, and then you keep doing it. Well, most people keep doing it, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, wow, I come out of machine. That's awesome.
X Adam 1 is asking thoughts on arming kids. I gave one of my daughters mace and the other a knife. At the time, lots of kids were being kidnapped, trafficked, 10 to 14-year-olds. It kind of depends on their maturity level. The mace, you're probably safer with that. The knife, I don't know.
Oh shit. Whoops.
I would say, like, once my daughter's old enough, maybe say 13 years old, even though it might not be legal for her to have access to a firearm. If she's going to be left alone at my house, then she's going to have access to a firearm, and she's going to know how to use it in an emergency type situation. But
at home's different than out and about, though. I'd
Right.
say if they're
Like, out and about,
mature
I'm not
enough
sure.
and it's legal, then why not?
Let's say that you've got a lockbox with a revolver in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Does that kid know the combo?
yes,
It
I would
depends
say
how old they
absolutely.
are.
Yeah, I think that a 13-year-old kid over here and a 10-year-old kid over there and a 15-year-old kid over there could all be about the same, right? Like, I don't know, a 10-year-old, I don't really know kids that much. But
Well,
they're
the
all
thing
different.
about the 13 and 15-year-old is that if they don't know the code, they're going to try and find out the code anyways.
And if they're not, then what's wrong with them, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, I would have been if I was 15. Yeah.
Well, come on. Now there's the internet. They're going to just figure out in like 5 minutes what website to go to know what to poke to make that thing open or whatever.
Yeah, the manufacturer's code or whatever.
Yeah.
I always had full access to my father's guns and knives and all that stuff for my entire life. There was never any lock boxes or safes or anything. Everything was out in the open.
But I always knew how to open them, right?
Yeah.
I knew where the keys were. There were keys back in the old days. So, yeah, I've never understood not having it. But I also always had access to the drawer of knives, and I can get matches anytime I want. I've always had access to gasoline. I can walk out in the garage and get gasoline. Like, you know what I mean? Like, every kid can do all of those things, except guns are so dangerous that we have to keep them separated because there's no way they can cause troubles with anything else except guns. And the thing is, I didn't mess with my guns because because I wanted them. Like, they were my guns. Why would I mess with my guns? If I'm going to go break something, I'm going to go break something else. Go break the lawnmower, then I have to go mow the lawn.
Yeah. I don't know. With young kids, you got to worry about accidental discharges, putting things where they shouldn't be. And yeah, like I remember having access to guns my whole life too, but I can only remember as far back as to when I was like 5 or 6, when I was being trained in gun safety. I don't remember what it was like before then.
I definitely did dumb shit when I was a kid with the firearms I had access to, like my father's 30-30 lever action. I used to load it and just cycle the rounds and watch them drop on the floor. Not very smart, but
Did you have a BB gun?
yeah, I had a BB gun, like a 10 pump.
You're outside doing your stuff with BB gun, learning lessons or breaking a window or doing whatever with a BB gun, right?
Yeah, me and my buddy shot out at his house. We shot one of his sliding glass doors, and it happened to be double pane, so we just broke out the glass on one side, so his parents never noticed.
My brother did that with a ballpoint pen and a balloon one time. Shattered a whole French door.
Like shooting it like a slingshot or something?
Yeah, exactly. He put the ballpoint pen. He took the ink out, the little like needle type ink thing, and he put it inside a balloon, pulled the balloon back like a slingshot and shot it. Hit the window, completely shattered it.
That's pretty
I just had a
It
lump
was
removed
pretty
off my-
cool, actually.
I just had a lump removed off my back last year, but that was from a BB shot. We used to, stupid fucking ass kids, we used to shoot each other in the woods with BB guns.
Yeah.
And I developed a huge lump on my back over the years and just had it removed last year.
I broke a window with my finger. I was loading groceries onto the porch, and the dog was in the window scratching and making noise. So I reached back and to tap the window, and I hit the bone of my finger just right, and it broke the window.
Dude, I tell you what, I hit my wedding ring on things all the time, and I'm amazed I haven't broke a window yet.
That's why I got divorced.
It's a big tungsten ring, and what the hell was that? Sorry, I just heard a knock. One.
So while he's dealing with that, Wesley Foster had asked a question. At what age are you going to plan the kids to get medical training? I think
We
that's a good
started
question.
Cub Scouts. How old are Cub Scouts? I think that's 5th grade or something. How old is 5th grade?
I don't
I think it might have been 4th grade. I got into Cub Scouts late. But
So
Cub
that's
Scouts.
that's like 11 years old, 5th grade.
Okay, so we would go to the fire department and learn like CPR and basic first aid. So I'm sure they're learning stop the bleed or something similar at that age.
So with me, my ex-wife is a nurse, so that's her department. You teach the kids the medical.
You should be like, I don't want the kids to know about medicine. I'm not comfortable with them being around medicine.
So that's your problem. You married a nurse.
That's like a theme in my life. And
That's a mistake, bro.
So listen to this. My mother is a nurse, right? And so my first wife, nurse. My second wife, nurse. Both divorces.
Oh man.
Yeah, you notice my mom's a nurse too, and I avoided that pattern completely.
I've dated nurses, but not married one.
Yeah, you don't marry a nurse; they're all crazy.
I've bled on nurses before.
Well, I was going to say I've done other things on nurses, but so what is the overnight.live?
Just bought us a website.
I was just about to ask
Holy
about that.
shit!
So if you
Wow.
go to that link,
Is that legal?
it
to
is
have
the Discord
a show
server.
called- Is it legal to have a show called The Overnight when it's really just technically late night?
Well, it is past midnight, so we have gone overnight.
Is it that?
And that's
later?
on the West Coast.
It's been past midnight for me this whole time.
Metric time zones don't
I'm
really
about
matter.
to start frying some eggs over here.
That's what I do after,
Do we have a Gizzard show in the morning, or are we getting scammed out of this whole situation?
I don't know. I thought about maybe doing a short one because I won't be able to start it at 7 if I do one. So I wasn't planning on doing a fill-in, but we'll say maybe.
What about barbecue? He has to do stuff once in a while.
He did a Friday night. He doesn't usually do this Sunday morning.
Well, he was just live a couple hours ago, wasn't he?
His barbecue chat, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that doesn't count.
I
Plus,
don't think that counts either. Not for stuff like this.
Let me do this while we have a break. If I can. There it is. GearWebsites.com for patches, shirts, stickers, and other 2A related stuff. GearWebsites.com.
Disco is dead. Disco is not dead. Disco is life.
So Wednesday nights are the Wednesday night mouse party, which is the Sunday chats are the more serious chats, and the Wednesdays chats are the more fun chat. Usually not any real set topic. There's a poll that goes out on Tuesdays that we'll talk about. But other than that, it's just kind of whatever happens. And so, yeah, I think we're going to wind down here. We've kind of talked out the topic, I think. Unless if there's something else anybody else wanted to bring up, we can chat about that.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
This is that shotgun I was talking about the other week.
Oh, let me full screen here. Oop, okay, there we go. Nope. There we go. That's nice. The
Too
one
bad you
that
can't use it.
Yeah, the one that is questionable.
Very, very, very questionable.
Did you see the thing that I recommended in Discord
Yes.
with
I
the
was going to
brass
ask
pin?
you.
Yeah.
Think you could bring it up for the audience?
Oh, yeah. So Mr. Barron here wants to deactivate this shotgun, I believe.
Yep.
And so we were brainstorming on how he should do that. And my idea is take it horizontal just like that, drill a hole through both barrels about an inch in front of the chamber, and just take a brass pin and pin it on either side. So you've got a bar physically across the chamber, and you can't insert any shells, but it doesn't really detract from anything cosmetically.
Yeah, you're
I could
saying
even
in it so
blue.
that you can't even put them in.
Yeah,
I could
just
even
drill,
blue the brass.
just drill right through the chambers and put a pin in there. And then when you open it, there's obviously a pin across the chamber. And then if anybody's dumb enough to cut that out and try and load it, they deserve what's coming to them at that point.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's the smartest way to do it.
That's the way to do it. And then it's a separate metal. You can see it. It's obvious, and yeah, it doesn't fall out or nothing.
Yeah, and it'd be super easy to peen that brass. And then you, like you said, you could use a mild steel pin and re-blue it to match the barrel.
So you want to disable it because you're worried about somebody once you are, like, if you're not around or you lose your capabilities or whatever, you're worried
Yeah.
about somebody else trying to use it.
Yeah, it's not safe to shoot.
Is it a black powder gun? Is that why, or does it have like a breach failure somewhere?
It's probably a black powder shotgun. It's from like 1910, 1911.
Yeah.
And the chambers are all pitted.
Oh,
It's pretty nasty inside.
so it's gonna.
And the stock is held together with glue. At the
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. There's
FedEx
that too. It
decided
could
it would have been better if it was in two pieces.
you shoot it and stab yourself in the chest.
Yeah, no, if you shot this up next to your face, you'd come back with splinters.
Yeah. If
It'd
it
be
does,
bad.
if the chamber doesn't blow up.
Yeah, you're getting you're getting a face full of stock.
Yeah.
The real question is, would that legally make it not a shotgun? Because technically, I'm only disabling
Nope.
the barrels, not the receiver.
You'd have to demill it completely, probably.
Yeah. You'd probably have to weld it shut or weld the barrel shut.
If I welded
Well,
the firing pins,
You have to kill the receiver to make a gun not operable. 'Cause
Yeah.
You could always just take a new barrel and shove it on there. But an operable double barrel is, kind of a dumb thing to worry about. But you're not worried about somebody disassembling it and putting it back into a new gun. You were just wondering if it's technically still a shotgun. It's still a shotgun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have universal background checks. So how lame is that? Even if you demilled it, you would have to seriously demill the receiver in order to be able to just pass it around as a thing again instead of 4473 and all that garbage.
Yep.
So if it's a 1910, it's a pre NFA gun anyway. So I don't know. Like if there's no serial number, you can transfer
Well,
those without a 4473, can't you?
18.
No.
It has to be 18 something.
1894.
Oh,
That would-
okay.
But it would also need to have an well, no, it wouldn't. You're right. It's just like it was that old, but it's not that old. There are some guns though that do take cartridges that are older than 1894 or whatever that aren't guns, and you can just just revolve it. Are like that.
Well, I think specifically with the revolvers, if you convert them to cartridge cylinder, they are considered firearms.
And this is a live video.
X Adams asking if can you replace the barrel?
I looked for replacement parts. I cannot find a single replacement stock or barrel.
Well, the other option is to give it to somebody who's going to gunsmithing school, and they'll either play with it or fix it, or rebuild parts for it or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what they do: is take guns that are in need of work and work on them. They learn how to work on them.
That's an idea.
If you want to see it still live, you know what I mean, or potentially still, or at least get some use before it goes. It's kind of like donating its body to science, right?
You'd be kind of doing the same thing if you made it into like a wall hanger, though, decoration. Put it in a nice velvet case, put it above the fireplace.
I have a cedar case from my dad's Sears and Roebuck 3030 that makes a really nice wall piece.
I was thinking I could get the barrel re-sleeved for like 20 gauge and make my own stock, but that would be a real pain because of how the stock is built. It's got
You'd have
the 4 points.
You'd have to braze that into the barrel, and
Yeah, you can just have them sitting there. They would all add strength. You could take them to probably 20 gauge and put 20 gauge inserts in there and probably shoot it just fine. As
Yeah.
far as the stock, we could take the stock off of there, send it to one of these places that 3D scans and get a 3D scan of it, and then send it to one of these places that has a robot like mine that carves out of wood, that knows what they're doing, and then say, hey, here's a scan. Can you make me this? And then get it, probably pretty darn close to where it needs to be, and then just fit it with a Dremel or some sandpaper or whatever.
If you sent Shafty measurements, he could probably eyeball it.
Yeah, that's probably better to get somebody to just eyeball it, because that seems like a lot of work.
That would make a great video series.
Wouldn't be the first time.
That is a really nice shotgun, though. Is that a coach gun?
No, it was. Well, I guess yes and no. Somebody hacked it down.
It's beautiful.
Wasn't me though.
I think I've got some birchwood in the garage. That might not be tough enough, though. I have to get walnut.
Or some nutmeg.
Is that even a tree?
Yeah.
Is that a tree even?
The nutmeg?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But you have the front part there, which looks like it's a different type of wood than the back.
It probably is.
It
Make it
doesn't,
a pie.
it doesn't match very well.
I have a question for the panel.
Well, the back could be full of oil from being touched all the time.
Yeah.
When
If
you
I
hear
had
somebody
that-
say,
if I had that shotgun, it would be touched all the time.
when you hear somebody say Colt 45, which one of those two do you think of?
Single action army.
Either the beer.
Beer.
Or yeah, well, it's malt liquor, but yeah. There's a difference.
I would
But
say
to
the
me,
back
that's an
is better.
SSA in a 1911. Or I guess a SAA.
Yeah. Peacemaker, I think, single action army.
I would really like one of those in 454 Casull.
Come on, man. Need to be a
It'd
Ruger.
have to be a little bigger.
Yeah, I'd have to have a different frame, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew a guy that had one. I never shot it, but I drooled over it.
I know a guy with a 450 something or another upper for an AR now.
450 Bushmaster.
Is that what it is? Yeah, that one.
I think those are so stupid. I'm sorry.
I want one.
Like, you're shooting what's
Because
essentially
it's-
like a 45-40 with a 8-round magazine.
I want one because it's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Second cool is okay, I guess.
I think it's for people that have those straight wall hunting rules in their
Yeah,
state.
well, Indiana's one of those states. But there's better cartridges, I think. Like 350 Legend, at least you can get like 20 rounds in the magazine. Not totally useless.
When I was
So-
volunteering at the range out here, this guy was, I don't know if it was that one or if it was a different 50. Is there a different 50 that goes into an AR?
50 Beowulf.
So it might have been 50 Beowulf, but he was making ceramic rounds and he was developing those for the Coast Guard. And they would shoot those ceramic 50 Beowulfs into the engines of boats to stop them when they're drug running or whatever they're doing. But, it's like, what do you call it, like anti-material?
Yeah, that's like a specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like breaching rounds for a shotgun. They're not really good for anything else.
Kind of, to smash into a boat engine. They're probably made of cast iron or something. So all you got to do
Yeah.
is break a couple of pistons and it's stopping, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
he was,
Barrington-
he was always farting around or whatever, and I'd go over and check him out, and he'd be sitting there kind of farting around, making all these notes and stuff. It was pretty neat.
If you do anything with that shotgun, Baron, document it and make it a series.
Documented for the ATF when they ask why I cut the barrel down.
You can just have Foss post them for you.
Send them to CRS.
Yeah.
No, I'm not touching his channel. I don't need the attention.
Oh, we got to take her. Did
Yes,
put Gorn?
X Adam 1 joined the Discord.
You have all those guns and you're only going to put one picture in?
He's got some nice stuff.
Yeah, his
he's
collection
got
is
nice
impressive.
setups. Not
Yeah.
not just what he has, but how he has them set up.
Yeah.
He does a good job.
Yeah, well, he definitely spends money on optics because everything he's got is EOTech or Trijicon. He's got red dots that are more expensive than most of my guns.
Yeah.
I was looking at that RMR; those are like $560. I think he has
You
a
know what?
handful of them.
Maybe we should do a Gorn episode next Wednesday.
We could do that. So everybody submit Gorn, and we'll look at Gorn next weekend. We'll take a break from, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks. not next week. 2 weeks. It's every other week. Submit Goran either to the email untacticalfoss@gmail.com, or if you're in the Discord, you can drop it in the firearms section, and we'll look at them next week.
I was thinking for the mouse party.
Oh,
So if you
Do
want
you
to join
do
the
that
Discord,
one every week?
yeah, that's
Go
every
to-
week.
go
Nice.
to theovernight.live. You can join the Discord.
Yeah, we can do it for the mouse party. I was just thinking I don't have to come up with a topic.
We can just replay the mouse party for the overnight.
We'll do it. We'll look at them Wednesday. So X Adam 1, if you can wait till Wednesday, we'll show them on Wednesday. Unless you want me to show them, I'll show them today if you really want me to. Just let me know. But so if you've got pictures you want to share, send them to me and we'll look at them on Wednesday. Wednesday night at 10:30 Pacific, I think. Is that when our show is?
Yes, 10:30
Yes.
for the party and 11 for the overnight. Pacific.
Pacific times. So that would be
1:30 EST.
1:30 metric.
And then 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let me go. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed before we leave?
I don't have
I got
anything.
nothing.
Alrighty. So G-Webs. What do you have coming up? You have a chat tomorrow, don't you?
Yep. On Sundays, we'll check out what happened on Instagram for the week.
I'll go follow you on Instagram. I didn't know you had one.
I don't. So yeah, thanks for the link. Thanks for hosting. Great
Oh, no
news here that this is now going to be a weekly show.
No, bi-monthly. Gun-toting pacifist. Anything you want to plug? You just put out a video today, a short.
Yeah, I did a short. The most work I've put in on any other short that I've ever done. It's up on Instagram as well. Gun Toting Pacifist on Instagram as well. Thank you for the invite. I've done a couple other videos on my YouTube channel within the last couple weeks as well.
Shafty? Anything you want to plug?
No, but I do have a request of you. Considering the topic tonight, why don't you leave us with a nice little piece of dad advice?
There we go. For X Adam 1. Yeah. I know I've tried covering up that light right there. I am aware of it. I was hoping it didn't bother anybody, but
Now that you've pointed it out, I can't not see it.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can look at now.
well, I've done that to my wife, like at the baseball game, and there'll be one light that, shines right in your eyes. And I'll tell her, hey, if you look at that light, it'll blind you. And she'll look at that light. Baron, anything you want to say before we cut out?
Nothing that I can say on your channel. I might say it on my channel sometime.
Alrighty. So again, thank you for everybody that's been out there in the chat. Those who commented and those who haven't commented, I appreciate you too. For those on the panel, thank you guys for showing up. It makes my job so much easier. For those who watch this in replay, thank you too. Leave a comment. I always love seeing comments, and you can add to the conversation. Stuff we covered, stuff you thought we should have covered, or if you ever have suggestions for future topics, I love to get those because then I don't have to think of a topic. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great morning.
Still here? It's over. Go home. No.